What's up, everyone? Tyler Dunn here at golongtd.com, and right within the Substack app. However you read, however you listen, I greatly appreciate everybody out there who has subscribed to join our community at Go Long. This is our 5th season covering pro football through a long-form lens, humanizing player profiles, team deep dives that really try to take you behind the curtain. That's always the goal here at Go Long. So I just cannot thank everybody out there enough. And with this being our 5th season, we want to try something new. This is a new podcast that will be exclusive to our paid subscribers all season long, every other week, how the NFL works. That's always the goal. Go beyond the press conferences, beyond the social media slop. We want to try to give you something different here at Go Long. So if you want to upgrade to a paid subscription, hey, if you're on the free mailing list, if you're just stopping by, this is a great time to upgrade and join our community, because we're really going to try to take this podcast to a different level this season. First episode, Quincy Avery of QB Takeover. He has coached some of the best quarterbacks across the NFL, always honest, always brutally honest, I should say, when it comes to all things quarterback play in the NFL. I think you're really going to enjoy this. We get into a hell of a lot, specific players. Geno Smith, the quarterback who he's worked with a ton recently. You're not going to want to miss what he has to say about Geno. Sam Darnold, some analysis on the Minnesota Vikings quarterback that may surprise you. And you're just going to think about the quarterback position in a completely different way after you hear what Quincy Avery has to say. So again, how the NFL works, our new podcast here at Go Long every other week. If you're just stopping by, we'd love to have you join our community today. And to our subscribers again, thank you so much. I think you'll enjoy this one. We'll catch you next time. All righty. As promised, the first episode, Quincy Avery. This is the first episode of a new podcast that we have here at Go Long, how the NFL works. Always want to take readers, listeners behind that curtain, show them how that sausage is really made in the NFL, because you only get so much at a press conference. You only get so much watching corporate media, listening to it. And you've always been somebody who keeps it real. We've had you on Zoom happy hours. I mean, we've talked back to the Bleacher Report days, I believe. Your story's unbelievable. We'll get into it, but I think the theme has to be building the modern quarterback, because you've done it with several. You're on the front lines of where the position's going, which is really, in essence, where the sport is going itself. But how in the hell are you doing down there in Atlanta, Quincy Avery?
I am amazing. How you been, bro?
Not too bad. Not bad. Kids in school. So that's kind of a big life change for us here at HQ 5-3. So it's a little different workflow with the football season starting. You're a dad too. I love how you put it. Underrated dad, overrated quarterback coach, right? In what ways are you an underrated dad then? What should people know?
I mean, I don't know if they'll really care, but my daughter loves me. You know what I'm saying? She'd be excited every time I come home. But I'm just the type of guy who I fly out a lot for work. I probably catch 4 flights a week, but I always fly home just to make sure I can either pick her up from school or put her to bed. So that's one of my big non-negotiables with work. So just little stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Making sure you can be there as a dad when you work like we work. You know what I'm saying? We're always on the road, always traveling.
I ain't flying 4 times a week, you said?
Oh, yeah. Easy.
What's your miles situation? Is it all one airline predominantly?
I'm Delta only. Like we're not fooling around.
So I asked Joe Shane last summer, the Marriott nights that he has, and I don't have the math right in front of me. It's insane. It was almost like 10 years of his life living out of Marriott's. I mean, how many miles do you have on the Delta app? Do you have any idea?
I'm a little over like 1 million miles that I could use for like trips for myself. And I'm at 890 lifetime, like actual flown miles. So I'm almost 1 million miler, and that's happened pretty quick because I didn't fly much before like the last 4 years. So I'm in the air a lot.
Well, you are smack dab in this hyper competitive world of, quarterback guru is such a cliche term. What should we call what you do? I mean, we got to think of a better way to put this.
So I call myself like just a quarterback consultant, right? Okay. So they consult with me. I help them out in the best ways I can, give them remedies in order for them to take with them to make themselves the best versions of themselves. And then I also work and talk with teams a lot, right? Whether that is a team that's interested in drafting guys or a team that has a quarterback and they need to either set like a rehab regimen and things like that. So been fortunate enough to work on all those ends. So I just call myself a consultant.
I like it. And I can't wait to get into how you teach the position, because I think that's how I was drawn to you initially. It was different than anything I had really heard before. I mean, that's why we're talking here. But your story, though, I mean, we could spend hours just talking about how you broke into the business. From what I remember, you played football at Morehouse, and then you wanted to get into coaching, and you drove from Atlanta to L.A., to UCLA, right? And then you sat in Rick Neuheisel's office. I'll let you tell the story because it's unbelievable. And then you're living out of a car for 19 months. This is how you break into the NFL, everyone.
So I was fortunate enough, like, I had been around football my whole life. My dad coached the NFL. Long story why he wasn't able to help me more in such a nepotism ran league. So I won't get into that now. But Neuheisel was new to coaching at UCLA. I knew that he probably didn't have his staff filled out. So when I graduated school, summer school, I just got in my car and I drove to UCLA. And I just sat on the couch. Neuheisel walks in. He's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I want a job." He's like, "Bro, that is not how this works. It's a big-time college ball." When he leaves the office that day, I'm still on the couch. It's like, "What are you doing here?" Next morning he comes, I'm there. It's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I want a job." It's like, "That's not how this works." When he leaves the office that day, I'm still there. He's like, "All right, if you come, I'll talk to you tomorrow." The next day, of course, I'm there. He talks to me, happens to know some people that my dad knew. He's like, "All right, we don't have a position for you, but if you want to help out here, you can volunteer." Unaware of what volunteer meant, you're really working a full-time job for no money. So, I mean, I think you got enough people here who know enough about football, but so for me, it was working every day. You're there in the office by 5 o'clock at the latest. And then, because Norm Chow was the offensive coordinator, he was a morning person. Neuheisel is not a night person, but he just gets to office probably like 8:30 for the first team meeting, but he wouldn't leave before like 11:30 midnight. So if you're in the coaching world, you got to be there before your coordinator and you can't leave before your head coach. So you end up what is called guarding your desk in the coaching world. And I did that for 2 years, lived out of my car in the locker room while I was doing that. But that's where I cut my teeth, and that's where I learned a lot of valuable information. And that's also where I found out, like, oh, quarterback training might be a thing for two reasons. One, I evaluated every single high school player who sent in a tape to get recruited. So I evaluated every one of those. So I knew where, like, the good kids were coming from, and I knew what was going on. And then the next thing that I did was Rick had a son named Jerry Neuheisel. Neuheisel was like training with his dad, and his dad would always be like, "Oh, if you want to come out here and watch us do it, come on." So I watched what a head coach would train a player that they obviously cared a lot about their success in their career, the workout that he put in through. I'm like, all right, I think that I could build something, but I think I could build something better than this, right? Because I'll be able to put all my time and energy into making somebody a better quarterback. Got done at UCLA, packed in my car, drove to Atlanta because I saw a lot of kids from Atlanta sending in tapes. I had went to school in Atlanta, and I knew that they looked like they could use some help. So that's where I decided to make home.
And then it's just a matter of cold Facebook messaging quarterbacks, begging, pleading, somebody let me coach you for a day.
It's crazy. Yeah. I went almost a year without getting my first client. And then the way that I got my first client, who actually is Josh Dobbs, it kind of tricked him. So I sent this letter to like the 20 best high school kids in Atlanta who were underclass. So they're like freshmen, sophomores. So I'm like, they probably don't have a trainer. They're good, whatever. But Josh did not have any scholarship offers at the time. So I sent this message to everybody. I'm like, hey, we got to work out for the best. I figured it was like 20 kids in Atlanta. But it had to be at 5:30 because I didn't have enough money to rent a facility at a time where it actually cost money. And I negotiated my way into getting this indoor spot. No one comes but Josh Dobbs, Facebook's messaged me like, "Hey man, I can't make it, but is there opportunity for us to work together?" I'm like, of course. So yeah, we end up training together one time, and man, we probably started working together 4 or 5 times a week from that point forward. He made the Elite 11, got a scholarship offer he was going to Arizona State at the time, switched to Tennessee last minute, and kind of the rest has been history, as they say.
I had to look it up to make sure I had the right coach. It just reminded me of like I feel like every legendary story starts with a little trickeration. Antonio Gates, the only reason that he even got a shot like with the San Diego Chargers. Yeah, sorry, Tim Brewster, who I think had a hot minute with Dion. Was he on Dion's staff for a little bit? Anyways, he was with the Chargers and basically lied about Antonio Gates's 40 time to the team and just said he was faster than he actually was, just so they would pick him up and give him a shot in training camp. And then, like you said, the rest is history. They convinced Marty Schottenheimer not to just cut him outright. Keep this guy around. He's one of the best tight ends ever. And so you were able to fool Joshua Dobbs a little bit. And here you are working with half the quarterbacks in the league.
You got to stay by the rim, man. You never know when you're going to get a shot to drop. So just stay by the rim. Be ready when you get a chance.
All righty, to get the rest of this episode with Quincy Avery of QB Takeover, upgrade to a paid subscription today at Go Long. Hey, we'd love to have you join our community. We are 100% independent, no ads, no sponsors, no corporate masters, 100% powered by you, the reader, the people who invest not only their hard-earned money into this sport, but also their sanity, their time. You're always at the forefront of our mind with everything we write and every podcast we put together here at Go Long. So we'd love to have you join our community today. $8 a month, $50 a year will get you access to every single story, every single podcast, including this one, new at Go Long this season, how the NFL works. You're not going to want to miss what Avery had to say also for the remainder of this podcast on all things Baker Mayfield, Geno Smith, Deshaun Watson, Sam Darnold of the Minnesota Vikings. Many takes, but also a hell of a lot of substance on how the quarterback position is played, or at least should be played, in 2024. Thank you so much, everyone.